so unlikely. Sometimes I think my mind is playing tricks on me, therefore I'm always right. People say that happiness is a choice, but I can never make up my mind. And I know I'm getting older, 'cause now I'm old enough to remember being younger. And now I reminisce about nostalgia, 'cause it used to be better. What if the good old days never happened, but we just don't remember? The future's running late. This trip down memory lane is taking us forever. I always hear people say that money can't buy happiness. But what if I paid them off? Maybe then they'd finally shut up about it. And nothing would make me happier.
Everybody, welcome to the Living Room Show. Give yourselves a round of applause for being here, everybody, especially the people who are muted and are clapping. I love it because I can see it. At least I can see the clapping. Before we get started, a couple of quick announcements. First announcement is I just got a notification. Evil Dave just sent some money for the show. We haven't even started, and I already got tips coming in from Evil Dave, who sends a tip every week. And I keep lobbying him to change his name from Evil Dave to opposite of Evil Dave. He always sends us tips every week and is here all the time. A couple of quick announcements before we get started. Evil Dave just got a shout out from Jackie and Henry. For those of you who are watching for the very first time, this is stand-up comedy on Zoom. I feel the premier way for watching stand-up comedy. I don't know why people would go see stand-up comedy in person. That's never worked. Just kidding. It's pretty amazing as well. And remind me, everyone, to tell you about an awesome show I had last night in Brooklyn Heights. In case I forget, this is on all of you to remind me, especially you, Salima. I'm looking your way. We're going to have a great time tonight. If you are somewhere with not too much background noise, if you don't currently have a cat in heat wandering around your apartment, go ahead and unmute yourselves. We want to hear your awesome laughter. It really just helps make it feel like we are all in one room together, but safely distanced apart by a lot of electronic cables and wires. I don't know how the internet works. I'm going to ask Al Gore how he made it happen. And next announcement is that if you are somewhere where there is a lot of background noise, if that cat currently has not found a friendly cat to make that cat cooled off, I suppose that would be the way to say it, at least turn your cameras on. Let us see your beautiful smiling faces so that we can see you. Next suggestion is you could watch the show in gallery view if you want, but the comics like it when their faces are nice and big and filling up the whole screen. Go ahead and hit that button in the upper corner in speaker view. Put this into speaker view. If you don't know how to put Zoom into speaker view, I don't know where you've been for the last 5 years. I don't know how to help you. Get on the phone right now, call your grandkids, and they will explain to you, and probably sound disgusted the whole time, how to put this into speaker view. Next announcement, shout out to everybody watching us on Comedy Hub on Twitch. Give them a round of applause. Yeah. They're always streaming this live on Twitch as well, and we love it. We always appreciate having them here. I actually met Jared one time. He was in my neighborhood in Brooklyn. He's even though he's on the West Coast, and it was pretty awesome to like meet someone that you see every week on Zoom, and then you meet them in real life. I'm just like, you're not AI, you're real. I assumed Jared from Comedy Hub was artificial intelligence. Sometimes we forget that that's what AI stands for. When you're just like, this is an AI person, and I'm like, it's an artificial intelligence person. That's not grammar. And next announcement. Did I have any more announcements? You guys, you've all been here many times. For anyone who's been at the show like a million times, like me, am I missing anything? What am I forgetting? Oh, tips. That's what I'm forgetting. Evil Dave already knows the deal. But if you want to show the comic some love, if you're having a great time, even though I guess we technically haven't even started yet, but if you think you probably will be having a great time when we do get started, go ahead and send us some tips. You could do that right now using the email email, livingroomcomedy@gmail.com. You could find us on Venmo, PayPal, and Zelle, and even Cash App. Cash App, it's $ Aaron Kominos-Smith, all one word. There are a few people who do use Cash App, so I say go for it. If you have a different method for tipping of your choice that I don't have an application, that's what app stands for, set up, go ahead and let me know what that is, and I'll get that app. I will get it set up, and I will make it either livingroomcomedy@gmail, or I will make it $ my name, which just sounds pretty badass. It's just like $ my name. Everyone, welcome to the Living Room Show. Are you excited for your MC for this evening? You know him, you love him. He's talking to you right now. Let's hear it for me, everybody. Yeah. I'm dancing right now. I'm dancing. Did I just recently teach my 3-year-old daughter how to dance to Madonna's Vogue? Yes, I did. She's not very good at it just yet, but she's getting there. All right. She knows how to do this. She figured that out, and she kind of does this, but that's about as far as she can get. She doesn't move into it in a very aggressive way. But yeah, we'll work on it, everyone. I know you're concerned, but don't worry. She's only 3, so we will work on it. With that being said, if anyone is here for the first time, if it is your first time watching us on Zoom, I don't know why I keep saying us, it's just me. If it's your first time watching me producing the show on Zoom, go in that chat and type in where you are watching from. If you're from somewhere wild and crazy and exciting, if you are currently out on Easter Island, go ahead. Let me know. If you are at the top of Haleakala in Hawaii, let me know. I think I said that the right way. I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever actually heard myself say that out loud. I think I've read it in a book, and I don't know if I said it the right way. Well, aloha to all of you, and end meeting. All right, that's right, because doesn't aloha mean like hello or goodbye or peace? It's like there's shalom. Oh, right. Jews in the audience. It's Shabbos. What are you doing? You shouldn't be using electricity. Okay, I am excited. I'm just looking around right now. No one wrote anything in the chat. So you've all been here. So everybody do my jokes all at once. Go. All right. Challenge not accepted by any of you. I'm looking around. Salima, I haven't seen you in forever. I'm so happy that you are here. Thank you for being here. I'm just seeing Salima used to come to our show in the coffee shop in Park Slope in Brooklyn, and occasionally would see her on the Zoom back during COVID. But I'm excited to see even more of you during whatever the next 5 pandemics are going to be that we have pretty soon. It's going to be great. I can't wait. And I'm looking around. Oh, we got Eric is coming to us from Washington State. The old Pacific Northwest. Here comes my Pacific Northwest joke. Gordon did just write in the chat to me specifically, why do they call it the Pacific Northwest? Great question, Gordon. It's almost like I've made this same joke many times. Yeah, which other Northwest could it be? What other ocean could the Northwest of the United States possibly be touching? What, it's not like the Gulf of America Northwest? Come on now. All right, pause for the acknowledgement of the ridiculousness of the world right now. Do you guys ever laugh and have a good time and you're enjoying yourself and you remember our current political situation and you're just like, how dare I have fun? No, everyone else?
How dare you mention it?
Just me every 5 minutes. That's pretty much it. Well, this is good. I am excited for all of you to be here. Ron and Laura, how are we feeling? They're here every week. Yeah, they love when they get a shout out. I think Ron just raised his glass. My favorite part is whenever Ron stands up because he wears very short shorts, and I'm always wondering, like, is this the day he forgot to wear any shorts at all? It's possible. You never know. All right. What else is going on with me? I almost forgot. Happy 65th night of Hanukkah, everybody. Yeah, we did it. I've been keeping track. Or should I say happy 370th night of last year's Hanukkah. That's what I'm doing. I think, no, what am I saying? 400. 70th night of last year's Hanukkah. I just did 365 plus 65. Did I do that math right? What do I like? Tutor SATs or ACTs? That's ridiculous. If anybody in the audience needs a tutor, by the way, I'm happy to do a Zoom tutor right after this. I'll do some Zoom tutoring. I get some very, very wealthy families that I tutor. Some very kind of pompous families occasionally. Most of them are pretty cool, but every now and then they'll like try to sound fancier than they are. Like one woman, she's like, "Hi, this is Andrea. How are you? This is Andrea." I'm like, no, it's not. It's Andrea. Well, I will say, Andrea, I'm very excited to help your child improve his scores on the SATs. This is going to be fantastic. There we go. But really, why do they call it the Pacific Northwest? Okay. I will say, if you were paying attention last week, I still have that transit check with 75 cents left on it that I cannot use at an MTA vending machine to put 75 cents onto my Metro card. So if anybody wants this, I don't know what you could use it for, but you can Venmo me 50 cents and I'll give you the number, I'll give you the valid through date, I'll give you the last four of my social. So if any TikTok executives are out there and want my info, now's your time. All right, that was your chance. You missed it. Good news, everybody. My event that I posted recently on one of those event websites for a show that I was running was recently approved. That's the email that I got just a few days ago, and I was like, I wonder what event they're talking about. Is it one of these shows? Was I posting about Living Room Show maybe? Because I'm always trying to post in all these different events, websites and stuff. And I got an email a couple days ago that said, "Congratulations, your event was approved." And I looked at the email to see what event they were talking about. And it was my September 28th stand-up comedy special filming in Midtown Manhattan. That is the event that they just approved 4 days ago. So apparently I'm going to have a lot of very excited time traveling comedy fans showing up at my event. Like, it is insane how unprofessional all kind of theater and performance is. That one of the theaters that I sent an email about potentially recording at, they actually had an automated response that said, "Thanks so much for your submission. We'll get back to you in approximately 9 to 10 weeks."
Okay.
And I was like, what are you doing at this theater? What is going on for 10 weeks? The crazy part is then about a week before my filming that I had, so this is like mid-September, I actually got a response from them. And this is the best part. It was an automated response 10 weeks later that told me they needed more info. I'm like, fine. And just for fun, I filled it out. I filled out the info in the form that the link was sent to me. And I got a response to that said, "Thanks for giving us the additional info. We'll get back to you in 9 to 10 weeks. That's totally true. That really happened. And then we wonder why theaters can't survive. Weird. When you're run by a bunch of morons, somehow you don't survive. Crazy. Is everybody, speaking of events, did everybody get their tickets for the Brooklyn Seltzer Festival? Did everybody? I think it's this weekend. I think it is happening this weekend. It's being run by the Brooklyn Seltzer Museum. Because of course, if we're in Brooklyn, we got to have a museum just for seltzer. It's right next to the Brooklyn Typewriter Museum. It's like, of course, that's like the most hipster thing that they could do in Brooklyn is be like, what's the most useless piece of technology that no one really uses anymore? No offense to seltzer fans, but we're gonna have a museum where we're gonna like make seltzer. Like, I imagine it's like a guy with a pump to like aerate that. He's just like, I'm exhausted. This is the way they did it in the old days. This is how we used to put, like, I don't know how they make seltzer. Everyone just has like the little soda stream canisters these days. That's how you make seltzer. It's that simple. It is kind of nuts though that they have a Brooklyn Seltzer Museum. I'm actually going to start my own antiquated technologies museum. It will be my clay amphora museum. If anybody would like to learn how to manufacture clay amphora, you can send your olive oil and wine back to ancient Rome with me. Everybody got that? Everyone else live in Rome for a semester and learn about the mountain, the small mountain in the middle of Rome called Mons Testaccio, it's actually a small mountain. It's a hill, and it's just where they used to throw the ancient Romans, just their old clay jars. They used to just throw it in a big pile. And if you're wondering where Testaccio comes from, destitute. There you go. Or the other way around. If you're wondering where the word destitute comes from, Testaccio. It's all from Italian. Technically Greek. That's really where it is. Oh, by the way, down the block from the Seltzer Museum, you can take a cave painting class. Okay. That was a pretty solid joke that I just had. That was a pretty solid tag. One more
included.
One more quick. Gordon, Gordon, I missed it. What'd you say?
Caves not included?
Caves not included. You got to find your own cave. But I can teach you the technique so that it looks legit. All right? There's very specific cave painting, lack of third dimension abilities that you need to make it look like the correct cave painting. Walking like an Egyptian was the original voguing, by the way. I just thought of that on the spot. I'm clever. I'm really proud of myself. Jackie, what was that? I'm missing it. We're getting...
Sorry, the Brooklyn Heights gig that you said to remind you about.
Oh, Jackie, good point. Here I was going to bring up a comic to actually perform. Orly, are you okay if I tell one quick story? Or I'll do it out. Oh, no, you're okay. You're good. I did a show in Brooklyn Heights, everybody. I think we've established that. It was at a place called Heights Casino. And there's no gambling whatsoever. I guess a casino, originally the term just meant like a place to hang out. It's a super fancy squash club over in Brooklyn Heights. If you don't know where Brooklyn Heights is, it's one of the high parts of Brooklyn. It's just slightly elevated. It was the New York's original suburb. That's what they call it, from where the ferries went across. And I performed for just super wealthy people. That's what I did. Just very fancy, wealthy people. They were actually fantastic. And every comic that I had on the show with me, everyone just ripped into them and made fun of them. It was fantastic. And they loved it. There's nothing more fun than just making fun of ultra wealthy people. And it was great. There was a guy in the very front row from Malta. Not a malt shake in keeping with Brooklyn-themed ancient antiquated desserts, but the actual place Malta. And I didn't know if you're from Malta, you're called Maltese. I didn't know that. I just thought there were dogs that were called Maltese, and that was it. But apparently, I don't know if this is where the dogs come from, but I was like, this guy was a lot less adorable than I would have assumed being Maltese. Yeah, I guess I really didn't have much to say about the show, Jackie. I feel like I would have had something funnier to comment on it, but that's all I really had to say.
Thank
Everybody,
you.
we've got a lot of, you're welcome. We've got a lot of great comics that I've got on the show tonight. I'm very excited to keep this show rocking and rolling with the next comic coming up. She's got the best virtual background you have ever seen. I believe it's her second time doing the show, so we'll just have to keep getting her back and back and back, but she is absolutely hilarious. Let's hear right now for the amazing and talented Orly Matlow, everybody. Let her hear it.
Yay! Thank you so much. Yes, I was going through my past virtual backgrounds and Matzah came up. I'm a veteran of the first wave synagogue circuit, which is fun. You may recognize me from my work headlining Beth Israel in Tallahassee, Florida. Or Beth Torah in Sudbury, Massachusetts, did a Purim special. It's almost the anniversary of that gig. And what I would do is, because most people would be muted, I would pin the clergy to try and gauge the audience's reaction. So I'm like, if I got the rabbi and the cantor, I got the congregation. So is anyone here clergy? Okay, I'm happy you're unmuted. I'm just gonna ride the wave based on that. Yeah, this is this is my second time on the show, so I still get distracted by my own face. I've been posting a lot on the internet, serving the TikTok industrial complex, that like I am so sick of looking at my own face that I understand why influencers just get new ones. Like, I'm just looking at myself on the internet, but if I were in magazines and on billboards, like I get why Ariana Grande gets a new face every 2 years. Like sometimes you just got to mix it up. And with Ariana, that applies to new personalities as well. I, for one, am enjoying the Glinda era. Have you guys seen Wicked? Are you guys ready for the Oscars on Sunday?
No.
Oh man, okay. You still have 2 days to get Wicked pilled. It's funny. I'm a millennial, and being a millennial is objectively awful. Like the first generation in a century that's worse off than our parents. But I had the honor of being in middle school when Wicked premiered on Broadway, and they can't take that away from me. Like I will never be able to own a home or retire, but I did see Idina Menzel on Broadway as Elphaba, December 25th, 2005. And great, that makes it all worth it. I'll always have that. And so the Wicked movie coming out, like now that we're, and be so popular, like there's a Wicked collab with every single brand. Like I'm surprised, like I don't have Wicked eczema cream yet. Like literally everything else is available. The only things to let myself buy were Wicked socks, which now I just sound like I'm from Boston. Like, yeah, just got those Wicked socks. But the Wicked mania has me regressing so far back into my middle school self that I'm like this close to buying Uggs, you guys. Like it's really dangerous. Like I might as well be 12 years old again. In terms of the other Oscar movies, another big one was, or is, present tense, Complete Unknown. Did anyone see the Bob Dylan movie? I saw it on Christmas Day. So if you didn't see Timothy Chalamet as Bob Dylan on Christmas Day, then you're a self-hating Jew. Like that was the best Jewish Christmas ever. Jewish Christmas, not to be confused with Hanukkah, different holiday. Best spent was seeing Timothy Chalamet as Bob Dylan, and to talk about the plight of the millennial and a lot of young people. 31 is still young. It's young. Like to make fun of boomers because, they benefited from the GI Bill and the New Deal economy, and then pulled the ladder from behind them by privatizing and deregulating everything under Reagan. But after seeing the Bob Dylan movie, like I have a new appreciation for boomers, because like you guys survived Dylan going electric. And that couldn't have been easy. Like I get it. Like the conflict of that movie is literally, will Dylan go electric? And it's hilarious the way that like they imbue 2.5 hours worth of suspense. Like you're sitting there and you're like, oh my God, I don't know about this Highway 61 revisited. Is he gonna do it? Is he gonna revisit Highway 61? And he did. But yes, no gratitude for Pete Seeger. Yeah. I'm sorry to get political. I know like regime change is on everyone's minds. And by regime change, I mean Luka Doncic being traded from the Dallas Mavericks to the Lakers. I don't know if anyone here is in Dallas, but if so, I feel your pain. I follow the NBA, but most of my friends don't. So I've been explaining it to them in Broadway terms. So the Luka Doncic trade in Broadway terms is like when Andrew Lloyd Webber replaced Patti LuPone with Glenn Close for the Broadway transfer of Sunset Boulevard. And she was blindsided. She did not see it coming. She found out when she was in her dressing room on the West End waiting to go on that night. And she famously threw a lamp and didn't go on that night. And she talked about it on Watch What Happens Live. And even more so, Luka Doncic was the face of the Dallas Mavericks. So it's like if the producers of the Funny Girl revival replaced Beanie Feldstein, but Beanie Feldstein had gotten good reviews and was beloved by the fans. And it's crazy because the Lakers already have a star in LeBron James. And so it's like the Lakers are the Chicago on Broadway of the NBA because they just plug and play with different celebrities and who can say what it means for chemistry. Because like right now, Erica Jane from The Real Housewives is playing Roxy in Chicago on Broadway. And I don't know if she'd take kindly to another housewife coming in to play Velma Kelly in Chicago. So crazy things happening in the NBA and on Broadway. The best way to get on Broadway now isn't to get an MFA. It's to be on the Real Housewives. Yeah, it's a busy time. My sister got married in June, which is really exciting, and it's a new phase of my life. I now have a brother-in-law. Today's his birthday, actually. He's not on the Zoom, so that he has an alibi that today is his birthday. And yeah, this being a maid of honor was fun. Yeah, I was co-maid of honor with my other sister, and like I think there was some nepotism involved. Like I was really good at the job, really capable, but I think I just got it because I was related to the right people. In this case, the bride. And I made a speech, and I was hoping that all night people would be coming up to me and be like, "Oh my God, incredible toast! You dedicated your life to the right art form. Your adulthood is absolutely going places. You crushed it in this wedding toast." But instead, people were coming up to me all night being like, "Oh my God, you've been crying all night. It's like since you walked down the aisle." And nobody had a New York accent, but that's the official voice of people who are annoying. And and I could say that because I live in New York now. I live in New York now, but I am originally from Toronto, born and raised in Toronto. And it's a fascinating time to be
in New York.
Canadian. Like, yeah, we've had to defend our sovereignty, and not just from Donald Trump, but from Kendrick Lamar. And, no, I side with Kendrick Lamar. I'm pro Kendrick in this piece. Like, I hate Drake not in spite of being from Toronto, but because I'm from Toronto, because I'm sick of the monopoly he has on the city's psyche. Like, we won an NBA championship in 2019. Like, you don't need this dweeb anymore. And I grew up in the same neighborhood as Drake. I grew up in Forest Hill, so I can confirm that he did not start from the bottom, unless you consider a neighborhood with only 22 Starbucks the bottom. And notice that I say Starbucks and not Tim Hortons, because yes, Forest Hill is so bougie that it has more Starbuy than Timmy's. Like, Forest Hill Village is such coveted real estate in Toronto because it has a CIBC and a Scotiabank right next to each other, and is within walking distance from Casa Loma. Like, Drake didn't grow up in the Compton of Canada. He didn't even grow up in the Compton of Toronto. Like, Drake, if you're watching this, like your childhood had more in common with Justin Bieber and Leonard Cohen, and that's okay. That's okay. Like, accept yourself, love yourself. Like, I went to the Community Hebrew Academy of Toronto, and don't pretend otherwise. I just got so excited that I dropped my eczema cream, not sponsored by Wicked. So, yes, Drake. But we don't claim him. Yeah, Jewish people, we're going through enough already. We don't need to add Drake on it. I actually have to rush to another gig. So great meeting the other comics. I'm so sorry I couldn't stick around for your sets. But if you're in New York, March 23rd at 5 p.m. at Caveat, I'm hosting a show called Send in the Clowns, Comedians Sing Sondheim. It's a cabaret to celebrate Stephen Sondheim's would-be 95th birthday. So if you want more material like the NBA Broadway stuff, see you at Caveat on March 23rd. And yay, Aaron, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah.
Keep it going for Orly, everybody. Oh man, and Orly, thank you for letting us know you're from Toronto, but waiting until the very end to say sorry in that accent. It felt like you were holding out on us. That's all I wanted to hear. Although it would be the most Canadian thing to apologize for not apologizing sooner. That is what I would expect as well. Do you guys think there's so many fights in hockey because like Canadians are so polite in everything else? It's like the only way that they can release their pent up anger from everything. I just imagine like after every hockey game, it like way after the game, it's just like all the players just like meet and hug and apologize to each other. Just like, I can't believe it. I am so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm more sorry. And they just like compete to see who's more sorry than the rest. Oh man, that's a lot of fun to say. If you guys have not said sorry, you don't know what you're missing, and it's more fun than you would have even expected. Did you saw it coming? No, you did not. That was fun. This is fun. I love it. Also, Orly did send me a message saying that she was apologizing for not apologizing later. All right, everybody. We're going to keep the show rocking and rolling. You guys still feeling pumped? Still feeling excited? We're having fun? Yeah? All right. I'm doing my dance. This is my dance that I've decided for just right now. It's better than me voguing, I think. I'm excited for our next comic because I met her when I was traveling through the wilds of Montana. And by that, I mean Bozeman, which is like an actual town with a real comedy club, a fantastic comedy club, by the way, with a nicer green room than somehow most other green rooms in most other comedy clubs. Yes, and yet in Bozeman, it was like super nice. And accidentally, but possibly deliberately, I'm wearing a shirt that says Yellowstone. It's a shirt that I got at Yellowstone National Park. So I'm excited to have this comic right now coming to us from Montana. Let's hear it for the amazing Amanda Taylor, everybody. Let her hear it.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Aaron. I have to say that comedy club is so nice because it is our only comedy club in all of Montana. And what Aaron didn't mention is that when we met, prior to his show, he actually got hit by a cyclist. Oh. And so, Aaron, I just want to say I'm really happy to see you've made a full recovery from your run-in with a cyclist. But yeah, I'm super happy to be here tonight. This is my first time here. So here we go. Thank you all for coming out, even though we didn't have to leave our homes, which makes it so great because I love not having to leave my house. The other great thing about this is that I'm in Mountain Time, so it's 2 hours earlier here. So this might be the earliest comedy event I've ever been to. I'm going to be done with comedy by 8 p.m. That's wonderful. So so I feel like nowadays therapy is super popular. It's really in. It's like everybody is talking about it. It's all over the Instagram if you're on the social medias. I'm into it too. I look at all the Instagram therapists. It's like basically all of my my therapy. I'm like, oh, thank you, a stranger from the internet. I will take that advice. But I do have a real therapist as well, and I have for a long time. So I feel like this is the first time I was actually part of a trend. But I started going to therapy like 13 years ago. And shortly into one of our sessions, my therapist stopped me and she said, Amanda, I'm going to stop you right there. I really feel like you're masking a lot of pain with jokes. So I'm going to ask you to stop telling me jokes. So I said, for about 40 minutes. And I got a new therapist shortly after that. Which is a good thing, because I've recently realized that I think I'm just kind of always having a hard time. Like whenever a stranger or like the grocery store person asks me how I'm doing, I'm like, I actually pause to think about it. I'm like, oh, I'm actually kind of having a hard time. But no one believes me because I just make this dumb face every time. I say, oh yeah, I'm kind of having a hard time. And they're like, oh, okay. Unless my favorite thing to do is to tell a robot person that I'm having a hard time, not AI, like a robot person. A robot person, I don't really know how these people exist, but they're the people that somehow have never had a hard time, so they just don't know what it is. They're just like somehow robots. If you tell someone like this that you're having a hard time, you're like, oh, I'm having a hard time. They look terrified. They don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. I personally love doing this. I do it as often as possible. And then I'm like, great, now we're both having a hard time. I'm having a hard time. You're now having a hard time because of me. I no longer feel alone. This is great. Love it. One of my favorite things to do. And a while ago, don't worry, this whole thing isn't about a hard time, but I guess most of it is. A while ago, I was living like a prolonged hard time, and it was actually getting concerning. And so I was with a new therapist, and she, one day she asked me, she said, Amanda, have you thought about getting a cat? I was like, no, I'm not responsible. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, I think that's what therapists say when they have gone through their book of like methods and strategies. And they're like, I don't know, we did all the things. Well, sad. I guess maybe an animal, just throw a cat at it. And I was resistant to this idea because have you met pet people?
Yes.
Yes. You know about pet people. They're like Karen, but worse. And they trap you, they corner you into pet slideshows, and they're like, they shove their phone in your face, and they're like, oh, this is Jojo. He's just taking a nap, and this is Jojo eating breakfast, and this is Jojo. I mean, he tore apart the chair, but it's fine because he's a rescue. They're not actually from Minnesota. I think all annoying people have Minnesota voices, so that's just how they sound in my mind.
Don't you know?
So, yeah, they're like, oh, this is Jojo. He's just so precious. And I'm like having an existential crisis about the passage of time, and is this what is happening with my life? So I was resistant to the idea of a pet. And today I have had a cat for 2 years, 3 months, 2 weeks, 3 days, 2 hours, and probably like 27 minutes or something like that. And I've actually prepared a pet slideshow to finish out my presentation. Even easier on Zoom, I can just share my screen and you can all just look at pictures of my cat. No, I won't do that to you. You know what is And oh, are you sad? Maybe another time. I feel like I can't be the Karen. I can't do that. But another time, I'll just show you pictures of him all day. But I feel like what's worse than someone like a surprise pet slideshow is a surprise run-in with an ex who dumped you. That's way worse than a pet slideshow, right? So it's really great. I love it when you get lucky and you just happen to be like looking super hot and you're with your like super hot friend and you just happen to be laughing uncontrollably. That is not what I'm going to tell you about. So a few months ago, I ran into an ex at the gym. He was the one who dumped me. This is when you all like gasp and sigh. What? How could that ever happen? This is impossible. Unbelievable. I know. So I saw him at the gym. He didn't see me. I spotted him. He's like doing some dumb shoulder workout on the floor like a hot guy would. And then I was like, Amanda, you should just leave the gym. Just get out of here and escape. And then the other bold Amanda was like, no, we're going to go talk to him. We're going to be super hot. I was like, yeah, that's a great idea, Amanda. You should definitely do that. So I walked over. I was like super hot. And then I made myself really large and flexed. And in this deep voice, I said, hey, do you need a spotter? I was like, that wasn't hot. That was not hot. And he looked scared. So we made some small talk, and then I told him I was no longer doing one of my side jobs, and he asked me if I had gotten fired. And in that moment, one Amanda was like, just tell the truth. Yeah, just tell the truth. And the other Amanda was like, this is a comedic opportunity for a child molester joke. And I was like, yeah, Amanda, that is a great idea. Let's do it. So he says, oh, did you get fired? And I said, yeah, it was the child molesting. Then he made this face. And I made this face. And I did this, be a normal person, Amanda. But I wasn't doing that on the inside. I was doing it on the outside. And that happened. But I like to make lemons or make lemonade out of lemons, however the hell that goes. But making lemonade out of that lemon, I've decided that this means I have made myself unforgettable to him. He will never forget that moment in all of his life. So I like to say that now I have won this breakup. I won it. You know, like I win. My therapist would say, Amanda, we really need to get away from this idea that there's always a winner and a loser in relationships. And I'm like, shove it, Sherry. That sounds like something a loser would say. I'm not a loser. And so with that, I just want to say, I'm not a loser. You're all definitely not losers for coming. You came to a comedy show. That is all I have for you tonight. So thank you so much for coming out. Thank you so much for having me. And let's keep it rolling. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amanda. Keep it going for Amanda, everybody. All right. Definitely unforgettable. That's what I would say. That'd be my way to describe that, for sure. The secret, if you don't want to run into an ex, is just don't have exes. Just marry your high school sweetheart. And then that's it. And then you've got nothing to worry about. Now, I didn't do that. I mean, or you could just like be a loser like me and just not date anyone in high school, really. And then just like, I guess that's the secret, is just meet one person ever, fall in love myself with that person and be like, perfect, boom. I'm never going to have awkward bump into someone at a grocery store. This is New York City. Come on, no one goes to a grocery store. We all use Fresh Direct or Instacart or whatever we want. We just get our food delivered, or DoorDash or Uber Eats or whatever it is that we're supposedly boycotting today, because that'll show them. All right. That's how New York City is. Like, everyone's like, New York is rough, and it's like, is it rough? We just get everything handed to us. We can get anything delivered at any time from anywhere, always. It's actually not so rough in New York City. I don't guess that's not true. I guess sometimes New York City is super rough. It's so rough. I saw a pigeon that was missing a foot. It just like kind of hobbled by me, and I'm like, oh man, this pigeon's missing a foot. New York's so rough. Even our pigeons have diabetes. Wow. That's okay. Did I bring everybody down? Oh man, that's what I'm going for. You guys are. I don't know what's sadder, the part about the pigeon or the diabetes, or the fact that none of it will be covered by your medical insurance soon. Okay, there we go. I'm keeping it positive. We're keeping it fun, everybody. We've got one more comic for all of you. Before we get to our final comic, this is that part of the show where I have to remind you that this is a free stand-up comedy show. You guys know that because you came here by just clicking on a link and boom, you're in. If you want to show the comics some love, if you want to make it so I can keep bringing back these amazing, awesome comics from across the country and sometimes even across the world, you could send some tips using the email livingroomcomedy@gmail.com. And if you're wondering how much is a good amount to tip, I suggest $5 per person watching the show. If you're having a great time, $10 per person. If you're having an absolutely amazing time, $10.75 per person watching the show. That's a reference to my 75-cent transit check that I can only spend on transit or parking or maybe gas. I'm not sure. Maybe I could put 75 cents in gas on this card as long as I don't overpump and put 76 cents, and then I can't use the card, and then I've got to keep pumping. And I didn't need gas anyway because I'm going to New Jersey the next day where gas is going to be much cheaper. So put those links in the chat if you want to send some tips, preferably a minimum of 75 cents. Tips that are sent. We've got one more comic for all of you. Are we still feeling excited? We're still feeling pumped. Happy Friday night. Yeah. All right, everybody. Eric's got an awesome mustache and has been clapping the whole time. I'm loving it. We're going to keep this rocking and rolling right now with your final comic. He is absolutely hilarious. We used to do shows together in person all the time, but then he moved far away. How dare he? But at least we get to keep doing these Zoom shows together. So exciting for the amazing and talented Mr. Paul Bennett, everybody. Let him hear it.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron. This is great. It's great to be here from my call center. I love it. I love that you think like people think New York's tough. You know, I grew up in New York in like the 80s, and that was tough. You know, like if someone in the 80s asked you what you're looking at, like there was a good chance you're gonna die. Like you had to get that question just right, or you know, they were gonna knife you. You know. But now, if someone asks you what you're looking at in New York City, you're like, oh, it's that boutique pickle store. You know, it's a wonderful pickle store. I love that. You know, like people have like weird impressions of New York. I had a friend who he called me out of the blue from high school, and he's like, how you doing? He's just getting out of a Florida prison. He spent like 20 years in a Florida prison. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm living in New York City. He's like, what are you doing there? I wouldn't want to be there with all those terrorists. I'm like, you were in a Florida prison. Like, how is that like any better? Like, how is that worse? You know? And then I was like, what's it like there? You know, like I was like, I'm gonna put this on Facebook. You know, what we're talking about now. He's like, what's Facebook? I'm like, prison sounds great. You know, there's no Facebook. It's safe. Like, it's not New York City. It's wonderful. Yeah. But nowadays, it was rough. One time when I was in New York City, I just got punched in the head one time. I was just like walking around, just walking down the street. Some dude just punched me in the head. But I did the most like New York City thing you could do. I just kept walking. I just ignored it and kept walking about my day. You know? That was you. Yeah, that's me. Partly because like if you stop, you know, someone else might punch you in the head. You know, they'd be like, "This guy slowed me down." But
oh no.
And I do think like I got like respect from other New Yorkers. Like that guy got punched in the head. He didn't slow me down my commute. I appreciate him. I respect him, you know? And I was once chased by a gang. I was in like this desolate area, and this like teenagers came and like they started following me. So I just like ran around. I just turned around the corner and I just ran, and they got away. And I told my mom about this, and she was like, "Why'd you run?" I was like, "I don't know. What are you talking about?" She was like, "Weren't you afraid they were gonna throw knives at you?" Oh God! Mom, I was running away from a gang, not the circus. You know. Plus, I was thinking about it in retrospect. Like, if those guys hit me, like if you had a group of like 10 teenagers who could hit a man with a knife, while he's a block away, like that's not a mugging. That's like impressive. That's like, I would just give them my money. I'd be like, here is for your teen program. I really do appreciate what you're doing with the youth these days. Like that is, you got them all to like practice knife throwing. That's like impressive. Like, I don't know. Yeah, New York City, great. I know, Amanda, you were talking about like winning and losing. I feel like I love board games because it's like the only chance you can like defeat like the people you like the most, right? Isn't that like the best? And like I love when my kid became 12, I finally was like, this is great because I could finally like crush her in games. I could finally like get all the hotels on Boardwalk and just like take all her money. I don't have to be like, oh my God, how did you do that? Like I can just get the win. It's great. I don't know. And to get cats, right? You were talking about pets. I feel like I grew up with like my dad was a freelancer, and I could tell how much work he had to do by how much he knew about the cat. Like I'd be like, "How you doing, Dad?" He'd like, "Oh yeah, Mr. Whiskers is really angry about that squirrel." I'd be like, "Oh, Dad, you're not getting any work." He's like, "No, I'm not, and we're probably gonna lose the house. It's pretty bad." Yeah, I know, and like. I don't know. I just like respond to everybody. Like, man, you also talk about like people saying hello, like how you doing or whatever that is you want to say. I think it's funny. So my dad, he was at my house. He lived with us in his last few years. It was wonderful. He died, but he died in our house. It was great. Like it was a great close. It wasn't great that he died, but it was great. It was great to be close to him, whatever. But it was funny because like those last few months and everything, people would be like constantly asking me, "How's your dad doing?" I'm like, well, he's dying. I don't know, but he's got a great deal on cable, so I guess everything's okay. Like, I don't know. Okay, right. Was that funny? Anybody but me? Okay. Oh man. Therapist. You're my therapist. I love therapy. I had a therapist. I had two big therapists in my life. One who he was like he had to like. I feel like I'm pretty stupid about things. Like, and he had to actually tell me that my wife was having an affair. Like, he would like, from everything I told him, he was like, "Paul, I know I shouldn't tell you this. I have to let you figure this out. But your wife is having an affair." I'm like, "No, she's not." She's like, "You are an idiot. Like love is blind, but you're just stupid." Like, and it ruined me because like I had another therapist years later who would end our therapy sessions on cliffhangers. So he'd be like, "I got something important to tell you, but we could wait till next week." I'm like, "No, we can't. It's somebody else divorced me. I don't know what's going on. This is really important that you tell this to me. This isn't Game of Thrones. Like, what's going on here?" I always fucking figured that like also like I'm so glad it wasn't like the same person, who like figure out, because then you'd be like, I have something important to tell you. You might want to think about like who is Dave, or like. Or maybe at the end of it, for next session, just bring some tissues and update your Tinder profile. How about that? But I'm living in a rural. I moved from New York City. A pandemic moved. I fled. I did. I feel ashamed, but I did. But I live in a rural area. It's nice. It's kind of cool. One thing like in New York City. Like I was just like an old dad, like you have your kid, you're just an old dad, But in rural areas, I'm a very young grandpa. People are like, it's nice. But I also miss the headlines because the headlines here, miss the New York City headlines because the headlines here are just like, school superintendent candidate gets second interview. Like that's literally the headline of the newspaper around here. But I figured how to New York City-fy them. You just like add and 23 people died. You know, that's all you got to do. You'd be like, there's a new light on the West Side Bridge and 23 people died. And oh yeah, there we go. I'm back. New York City, you know, it's all good. And people are so nice around here. Like this is how nice people are. They use the word delightful to describe people.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? Like how crazy that is. Like I grew up in Yonkers, New York, like, right? And so you never hear that there. You never hear this guy be like, that guy over there, he's a piece of trash. That guy over there, he's garbage. That guy over there, delightful. He's a really special guy. Good to spend a little time with him, visit with him. Wonderful guy. I don't know. It's cool. Like around here, like you could do anything. Like you could do so many things, like more than you could in New York. And so, like in New York, I would never have a chance of becoming mayor. You know, but if you got a little hustle, you could be like mayor of like 5 towns around here. You know, there's a lot of mayorship opportunities. You know, and Aaron, you won't believe this. One time I called the public bus system. I phone called them, right? Because I wanted to find the schedule. I pressed one button, and I was literally talking to somebody. I was like, hey, when's the bus coming? They were like telling me the answer, you know? I was like, this is awesome, you know? And I feel like you couldn't do anything around here, you know? Except like, you know, also like the guy who's like probably answered that call was also probably like the mayor of the town, you know? Like, also please vote for me for mayor. But I actually knew something more about like, I was really proud of myself because my mother-in-law, she lives around here. She grew, and like I actually knew more about her, about nature. So like we saw a porcupine one day and she's like, whoa, it was like, far away. It was far away from us. She was like, whoa, we better get out of here because those porcupines shoot their quills. Oh. I'm like, I don't know. I grew up in Yonkers and I know they don't shoot their quills. I don't know what you're talking about. Porcupines are just pokey. That's all they do. You never see someone like, you know, walk into a bank with a porcupine and be like, stick it up. I have a family of porcupines here. You know, it's not the kind of thing people do. Okay. All right. That was my porcupine joke, everybody. I don't know. But I also miss like, I miss like dating in New York a bit. Like you know, I'm in a relationship now, but like, it was great. Like after the divorce, because like before I got married, in my head at least, I was Ryan Gosling, right? I'm out the other side of marriage at best, Bill Nye the Science Guy. You know, it's a very different world. But the thing is that I thought, like when I went to the dating pool again, I'd just be dating all like the same people, you know, all these like people who are fresh and happy, because that's what I dated before. But no, I'm dating women my age who've just been like grinding it out, dating guy after guy after guy for like 20 years, you know? And like, you know, I suspect them to be like, love is great. But instead they were like, it's just a business, kid. You know, it's like sometimes you get traded, you know, no team is loyalty. Okay, right. I just realized I made a sex joke there, which I had not intended to make. That was a joke about cigarettes. Maybe that's why people think it's funny. Okay. All right. See, I don't get things.
I heard the cigarettes.
All right. Okay. Man, you guys are great. I don't know. I got to finish a short joke. Okay. Oh man, I'll should mention this is that I got invited to a destination wedding recently, everybody, in Hartford, Connecticut, which is like not a destination. It's just like, it's like when, you know, McDonald's starts throwing around the word artisanal. You're like, no, McDonald's, you do not get to say artisanal, and Hartford does not get to say destination wedding. Right? Okay. Right. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks so much.
Keep it going for Paul, everybody. Paul, the that gang, by the way, that was throwing knives at you, they learned it from the porcupine. All right,
There you go.
how they got the launch. And I did look it up because I was curious if I called New York City's Transit Authority, the MTA, if I called them to get a bus schedule. Do you know how many employees there are at the MTA? 70,000 employees.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people live in all of Montana, Amanda, but I have a feeling there may be
more people than in my town.
Yeah, and more people than in Missoula. That's the deal. Wow, a lot of people. And the best part is if you tried calling the MTA, I feel like someone would answer, but would just be very confused. Like someone's phone rings and they answer and they're just like, I didn't know anyone even had this number. Yes, I guess I'll help you. I feel like you probably would actually get through to someone because no one would ever think to call. Everybody, that has been our show. Clap it up for all your comics, for Orly, for Amanda, for Paul, and for myself. And give yourselves a round of applause for being an amazing audience. We do the show every Friday at 8 p.m. Come join back next week where it will be the 72nd night of Hanukkah. It will be awesome. Don't forget to follow everybody on social media. You could follow me on Funny Aaron on Instagram and YouTube and all of that and all that good stuff. Everybody will hang out for a minute or two to chat, but have a great night. Good night, everybody. Have a great weekend. Enjoy.
You too.